Rev up your engines.
Flash 995. Scotty, I want a used Audi TT with a DSG. I've heard they're good gearboxes. What are your thoughts? Audis are money pits. I had a neighbor who was a corporate lawyer. He made a lot of money, and he had one of those, and he got rid of it. He said, Scotty, I can't stand this thing. It's a piece of junk. It costs me so much money. It's always breaking. I mean, his had a nice standard transmission, and the damn thing blew up twice. They just aren't that well made. They're piles of junk as they age. They're fun to drive when they're new. There's no arguing that. They're quick. They're zippy. But they are money pits as they age. That's just the way that those cars are. Now, maybe in Europe they make better ones and sell different ones. I don't know. But here in the United States, they are just endless money pits. And every single customer I've ever had in the last 40 years that bought them never bought another one. That says a lot. Emmanuel Heimdall says, Scotty, what do you think about the 91 Toyota MR2 Turbo? Okay, here's the thing. That was an oddball car with an engine in the back. And I am a Toyota fan. And they were fun to drive, but they didn't sell that well. And they're not the greatest handling vehicles. With the engine in the back, you'd think they would be, but their front suspension was a little bit weak. And the turbos, of course, would burn the engine out faster. So, you know, if you're thinking about buying one, have a mechanic like me check it out long before you buy it and realize that they're not a collector's item. They don't have any particular residual value in them. So if you can get one cheap and the mechanic says it's in decent shape and you want it as a toy, nothing wrong with that. But don't think you're going to buy a car like that and use it for an everyday driver and not put a lot of money into it, because they weren't made for that. My customers that bought them, they liked them, but when the turbos went out or the engines went out, they just got rid of them because they didn't want to put too much money into them. They're fun to drive, but, you know, they're not a true performance car. The suspension's kind of weak. They're fun little toys. And if you can get it cheap and have a fun toy, and it's okay, go ahead, but don't think it's going to be something like you could buy a Corolla or a Camry and it's going to run forever. Jacob Lawrence says, Scotty, I'm looking at buying a 2000 Buick LeSabre. It needs a transmission. Is it worth the buy? Okay. Those aren't bad cars. The weak point is the transmission. Since it has a bad transmission, if you can get it for practically nothing, go ahead and have another transmission put in. You can get a rebuilt transmission, a factory rebuilt, and put it in, and that's going to cost you maybe, I don't know, $1,800 if you get a good one. So if you get it for practically nothing, they can be very good cars. But don't pay much, because if a car needs a transmission like that, it's not worth hardly anything. I got customers that buy those things, and they probably pay, I don't know, $400 or $500 for the car if it's in really good shape, and then put the transmission, they can have a good car. You know, nothing wrong with doing that. Ben Krause, Scotty, I have an '02 Dodge Durango that runs well and is good in shape. I bought it for $1,000. The tranny slipped between second and third. Did I pay too much and is it worth it to rebuild it? Okay, you got something for $1,000. And if it's in good shape, have the transmission rebuilt. Why not? Those have weak automatic transmissions. There's no doubts it's wearing out. But you only paid $1,000 for it. So let's say that's a pretty simple transmission. Let's say you pay somebody $1,200-1,500 to rebuild it correctly. Then for $2,500, you got a vehicle that runs good, which is a good deal. You know, there's nothing wrong with what you paid if it's in good shape otherwise. Because the weak point of those is the transmission. And if you're fixing that, then you don't have to think about that for a long time. Now, let's sniff it at an engine problem. I'd say, no, don't put money in it, because if the engine is a problem now, that's going to cost more to fix. And then the transmission's going to go out, because that's the real weak point of those. But if you're fixing the weak point, fix it. I'd say go ahead and fix it. I'm not a Dodge fan, but you only paid $1,000, and if you get a good vehicle for $2,300, $2,400, nothing wrong with that. Matt D says, Scotty, when either front tire hits a bump at 25 miles an hour or faster, there's the sound of metal parts hitting each other. Suspension, bushings, how can I find out? If it only does it when you hit a bump really bad, generally that's the struts wearing out. Now, what you can do, like I said earlier, is jack the front end up in the air, pull in the tires, see if you got any play. Now, if you don't see any, then take the tires off and see if you see any metal rub parts, because metal rub parts, you never see shiny metal parts. And if you do, that means metal rubbing. You know, that part is worn. Generally, when it does it, only when you hit bumps. It's usually the struts are just wearing out, and then they hit a bump. Instead of absorbing this shock, they just bang because they can't do it, and then part of the strut will hit the bumper. There's a rubber bumper there, and it'll still make a bang noise when it hits it if it's not absorbing the shocks. That's usually worn-out struts that do that.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, Remember to ring that bell.